It's time to put those thinking caps on because we have an important tip coming at you from the folks over at Analogics. Oh, and we're giving away a free PSE bow at the end of this thing, so, no big deal. I'm Matt Drury, and you're watching a special Ante-Up edition of DoD TV. This segment is brought to you by Analogics. Protect your herd with the power of science. Over the past decade, chronic wasting disease and the awareness of the disease has drastically increased. Many states have put forth management efforts to try to contain the disease to the small areas where the positive cases have been found. In this edition of Ante-Up, we got Brian Weiss and Analogics wildlife biologist Tim Newman here to give us a quick lesson on what CWD is and the potential it has to hurt our deer herds. Class is now in session.
So I'm here at Analogics today, and one of the hot topics around the country is chronic wasting disease. We have wildlife biologist Tim Newman. Tim, what is chronic wasting disease?
So chronic wasting disease is a category of diseases known as transmissible spongiform encephalopathies, and that's hard to say. So at a very high level, it's basically a disease that affects the brain and the nervous system of anything in the deer family. And if you've heard of mad cow disease, it's in the same category as mad cow disease, but it's a totally different protein. And when I say protein, that is a cell structure that it itself does not have any DNA or RNA, the things that viruses and bacteria contain. And this is not something that scientists know how to cure like we do other diseases. It's a very complex disease, and we're working on a lot of different ways that we can try and improve the herd in places that they have chronic wasting disease.
So as a hunter and a person who manages hunting ground, what are some of the things that I can look out for to see or maybe sense if my property has chronic wasting disease?
So the big thing is, if you're in a state that has ever had a chronic wasting disease positive, you need to get your deer tested after you harvest them. You're not going to be able to always see the clinical symptoms of chronic wasting disease. The deer just walk around like they're healthy. It can take up to a year and a half for the deer to show any clinical symptoms. And when I say clinical symptoms, I'm talking about they're shaky, they're drooling, they're walking around in circles, they're losing their fear of humans. They're not gonna have that for most of the disease progress. They're gonna look like a normal deer. So unless you actually submit a sample to your state agency, you won't know that that deer has chronic wasting disease.
So if a deer gets chronic wasting disease, can they survive?
Up to this point, we have not found a free-ranging deer that can survive chronic wasting disease. But there is work being done on a vaccine. And the way that vaccine works is that they basically put a salmonella inside a deer's stomach that can ingest the disease-causing agent known as a prion if you're from the US or a prion if you're from the UK. But that salmonella can digest the bad version of the prion, and then the deer will actually never get CWD based on the transmission route, which we think is oral ingestion, but the jury is still out on that as well.
Once I harvest an animal, is there a way that I can prevent CWD or, quote, do my part to help prevent chronic wasting disease?
So the biggest factor in trying to control CWD is after you shoot a deer in an area that has CWD, you want to contain that carcass to the property if possible. So that means quartering it out in the field, and you don't want to cross any state lines with that carcass, especially into areas that have no CWD, because that carcass is a known hotspot for those prions that are the causative agent. As a hunter, you can learn to cape your deer out in the field, and then don't carry any brain or spinal tissue out with you.
So what are some of the answers with chronic wasting disease? From my understanding, there isn't a lot of answers. There's a lot of studies being done. Is there anything that's been found out or anything states are doing to help prevent it, or is it just something that we're going to have to live with and learn from and try to do our best to prevent?
Currently, there isn't a lot of things that we can do in areas where the CWD has already taken hold. It's going to be there for as long as we know. Until that vaccine is more efficient, it is not going to be available for deer free range. The other thing is that we're trying to prevent new areas of contamination. So that's the biggest thing we can do, is try and prevent new areas of contamination. Other avenues that we're trying to get approved is to try and remove some of the funding that's going to just testing where animals are positive into actually building something that we can do when we find a positive. A lot of money is just going to find out, okay, yes, we have CWD in this area, but there's nothing we can do about it. So why are we putting millions of dollars into just knowing that it's there? Why don't we put that money into research that could actually do something about lowering the prevalence rate on the landscape?
Chronic wasting disease is here, and we have to do everything we can as a hunter to help prevent it. If you see an animal that looks weak or anything like that, make sure to get it tested. Do your part as a hunter.
As always, lots of great info from the guys over at Analogics. Don't forget, if you have any questions on what your state is doing to help combat CWD, please reach out to your local Fish and Game for more info. Thanks for watching this Ante-Up edition of DoD TV, and we'll see you next time. Hold up, you didn't think I forgot about that Pse giveaway, did you? Not only are we giving away a Pse at 100,000 subscribers, but we're gonna sweeten up that pot a little bit, and we're gonna give one away at 75K. Only 9,000 more to go, so make sure you subscribe to the Drury Outdoors YouTube channel, and you, yes you, could be shooting a lightning fast Pse bow come this fall. Until next time, safe hunting, and we'll see you on the flip side. This segment of DoD TV is brought to you by Mossy Oak Gamekeepers, your ultimate resource for wildlife and land management.